actually from Ask Reddit. And the prompt question was, serious people who had stalkers, when did you first realize you were being stalked? So Reddit stalker stories, let's do this. Okay, here we go. Story number 1. I wanted a prom date in 1986. I ended up with a fucking psychopath. He was abusive as hell, and it took me 4 years to get away from him safely. I'd go to the police. They'd tell me he just liked me and wanted to date me. Are you freaking kidding me? I'd go to my parents. They'd say, it's not our problem. What? Her parents said that to her? I can't. I cannot. I simply cannot. I had to take extreme measures to get away from this guy. You know what? That really upsets me. What kind of parents would be like, that's not our problem? If a creepy guy was stalking your daughter, that's awful. I had to take extreme measures to get away from this guy. I had tried to break up with him a few times. Once he jumped off the roof of the shopping mall and hurt his leg. Another time his friend called me and told me to look out of my bedroom window. There, psycho ass was in a fucking tree with a rifle pointed at my little sister's bedroom window. What? Psycho ass indeed. I finally got rid of him in 1990 when he told me that only death would separate us. I faked an overdose of pills. I didn't take them all, but made it look like I had. I knew I'd be found. My roommate took me to the ER. I drank the fucking liquid charcoal. I told the psychiatrist on duty that my death was the only way to get away from this guy. Yes, I wasn't thinking clearly. Yes, it was a shitty thing to fake. Save your vitriol. Finally, someone listened to me and put me in touch with services and support so I could get away safely. Thank goodness. This poor thing. He moves away at the end of summer. I'm free. Or am I? In 1991, I get random shit in the mail. Carpet samples, samples of Depends, Elvis commemorative plates, just weird shit. I know it's him. I'm in my first apartment. The apartment across the hall opens up, and who moves in? That's right, psycho ass. The building is for sale. Who buys the fucking building? Psycho ass. I'm not kidding. He bought my apartment building. No idea where or how he got the money. This guy is literally insane. I moved out in the middle of the night. I took my shit and ran. I got a new job. I got fired because of a customer complaint. I point out that the complaint was during a time when I wasn't even working. I get a new apartment. My landlord calls me into the office to ask if I really am turning tricks in my apartment. Weird shit like that keeps happening. He keeps popping up and undermining my life, my friends. He tells anyone I date that he's going to kill them. That we're still dating and I'm cheating on him with the new guy. By 1996, I've moved halfway across the country. It was awesome. He had no idea where I was, and I was so happy. Unfortunately, I had to move home in 1998, and he kept fucking with me. I would come home and all my radio stations would be tuned one digit down. Like 95.7 would be 95.5. There was an alarm clock in my closet that went off at 3 a.m. He let the air out of my tires. Thankfully, a cop moved in upstairs, and then he stopped fucking with me. I don't hear or see him until 2002. This is over like such a long time span. He fucking strolls into my work. I worked in a store. I quit immediately. I'm married now. I tell my husband what's up. We move. The last time I saw him was in 2008. I was dropping my son off at day camp. I hear my name across the street. It's psycho ass. He got a camera with a long lens on it. I keep my cool and ignore him. I go into the camp office and Okay, story number 2. When I got a text from a number I didn't recognize telling me to look outside. I lived in a first floor apartment, and there were flowers and chocolates on my balcony. Motherfucker worked for IT and was in a position that he had access to the employee records. So he got my cell phone number and address out of it. What was even crazier was I told my upstairs neighbor to keep an eye out for him, and she said he'd stalked her too. Apparently this guy just had a reputation for stalking every new girl in town. It was a smallish, medium-sized town. It escalated over the course of the year, but was quite frankly more absurd than terrifying, because the stuff he did was just so bizarre. I finally had to get a restraining order against him. Story number 3. My mother dated a man who turned out to be abusive. Once she ended this, he began to stalk us. In the beginning, I didn't have a license. Later, when I did, he started stalking both of us. Some clues we found were seeing odd cars driving slowly in the neighborhood. This isn't a sign by itself, but when combined with the same cars being seen nearby at other times, we figured it out. He knew people who owned new and used car dealerships. We started hearing from friends about things we had done that no one would really know about. Like my mom may have visited a relative, or I went to a party with friends. Somehow a neighbor or other person asked how that was. We found out he was talking to these people as friends, without them knowing what he was up to. So they were volunteering information in a harmless way. Our trash started being disturbed. Found out he was going through it and taking out things like billing statements, letters, and so on. This was before privacy and identity theft were an issue. In the single worst example, he had shown a letter I had written to a prospective girlfriend to a friend of his. I threw out my drafts and accidentally left it there. I just happened to see it when I was there, and the mutual friend told me that she thought the guy had it to proofread it for me. Humiliating. I noticed once I had my license, I was being followed when I was out on country roads and so on. Even through college, he did it on occasion when people in my hometown knew when I had gone dancing or whatever at clubs. So all in all, just be vigilant. If you ever feel someone is following you, be it a stalker or a road rage person, do not go home. Go to a well-lit area or a manned police station. Shred everything you throw away if there's anything personal on it. Get a good cross-cut shredder that cuts it into tiny pieces. And these days, call the police. They'll take it more seriously than they did in the past. Sometimes I hear like modern day stories like this and the cops don't do anything because the stalker didn't like physically touch them or hurt them in any way or whatever, so you never know. Story number 4, again, the prompt question is, people who had stalkers, when did you first realize you were being stalked? This person said, when he tried to sneak onto my bus. We were both in high school and he was mentally disabled and much bigger than me. He was convinced I was his girlfriend and I had severe social anxiety and didn't know how to handle the situation. He'd always talk to me in the hallways, and before I got on the bus, I generally tried to be nice but did not stay near him for too long. He asked to come to my house, but I lied and said my parents wouldn't like me inviting a boy over. He then tried to get on my bus, but the bus driver wouldn't let him. This happened a few times until the bus driver told a teacher, and then someone had to watch him while we waited for the bus. I thought that'd be the end of it, but he only got more obsessed with me after that. He memorized my schedule and would follow me in the hallway, asking me to meet him somewhere outside of school. He was really scaring me, but I didn't think he knew what he was doing. I texted my best friend to come help me. He was honestly my hero at the time. It pretty much came to a head after my 11th grade finals. I was done before my friends and was waiting outside the classroom alone when he found me. He grabbed me and sat on the floor with me in his lap. I was terrified, but I didn't know what to do. He asked me to kiss him, but I said no. He kissed me anyway. I started to cry, and then a teacher found us. They punished him, but I begged them not to tell my parents. I just wanted to forget it ever happened. For unrelated reasons, I went to a different school for grade 12, and I heard he raped a girl that looked just like me. I've always felt really guilty. I should have said something or done something to stop him. I'm still nervous around men, especially ones that look like him. It's awful. Story number 5. Ooh boy. I'm a guy, used to be a bartender, working a shift one night and start chatting to this girl. She seemed nice enough, so I asked her out, and a couple days later we went on a very casual date. Literally just met up for a cup of coffee and a chat. My next shift at the bar, she turns up alone and sits at the end of the bar. I'm just doing my job, start having a laugh and a joke with one of the regulars, and Crazy storms over and starts full-blown screaming at the girl. Tells her to stop flirting with my boyfriend and nearly gets physical. The bouncers are already over, standing by to chuck her out. So I tell Crazy that I'm not her boyfriend, that we've been on one single date that lasted an hour, and if that's how she's going to react when I just talk to another woman, especially when I'm just serving a customer, she can fuck right off. She screams at me and storms off. Next day, I woke up to about 50 text messages, starting with "I'm sorry," then "why aren't you answering," then a ton of abuse, then she'd apologize for that, and the whole thing would start over again from "I'm sorry." I blocked her number. Next work shift, she comes screaming into the bar, begging for forgiveness, that she's sorry, please unblock her number. I tell her to fuck right off and to leave me alone. Screaming, tears, and another storm off. Then a few nights later, I was going to bed, turned off my bedroom light, and my phone goes off. A text from a number I didn't recognize that just says, "Good night." I look out of my window. She's parked across the street watching my house. That went on for a week or two, then the strangest part happened. I was at work and she walked in, came to the bar, and told me she was there with her new boyfriend. I breathed a sigh of relief while pitying the poor fucker. Then her new boyfriend walked in. He was my fucking doppelganger. I mean, people could have mistaken us for twins. He even wore the same glasses I did. So I was just standing there in shock, and she introduced this guy to me as her ex. It's only funny looking back now, but the look on the guy's face when he met me was just pure, oh fuck, she's insane. So she makes a big deal of basically wrapping herself around him all night in front of me while he looked more and more uncomfortable. Then at some point he leaves and she tries to get behind the bar, crying hysterically that she was only dating him to make me jealous and she really loved me, not him. The ending is pretty anticlimactic. I went to the police station and reported her and asked how to get a restraining order, but never ended up needing one. Being removed from the front of my house on another late-night camping session by the police scared her into leaving me alone. Damn. Story number 6. I was playing with a girl who almost became my stepsister. We shared a bedroom and she wanted to play with Barbies. I had this really weird feeling and I looked up at the window. The light in the room made it so I could only see our reflections. I decided to go up to the window and cup my hands to see. To my shock, there was a car across the street and inside was a man with a camera. I could tell he had a camera because he was leaning the giant lens on the door of the car. What was really eerie is he didn't react or anything when it was clear I noticed him. He just kept presumably snapping away. I ran and told my biological mom that there was some guy taking pictures through our window. My bio mom never believed me when bad stuff happened, but she humored me by peeking out of the curtains. I watched the surprise register in her face, which quickly turned to anger. She grabbed our most loyal and scary-looking dog and went outside. The guy starts putting away the camera, and then bio mom lets the dog off her leash. By the time the guy started to speed away, our dog was about a foot from his door. After that, the man started showing up was about 12 when this was going on, and it was terrifying. These fucking sick, grown-ass men terrifying, traumatizing children. Okay, this is the last story I'm gonna read for now. Story number 7. This guy I met in a nightclub kept asking me where I live. It was a semi-small town, so I kind of gave vague directions, like by the school. I just met him and did not want to give him my physical address. Of course not. A week later, I found flowers in my car with no note. The next day, I found candy, again with no note. At the end of the week, I found a note from the guy at the nightclub. He wrote that he found me and drove around all night until he saw my car. He went on saying that he has been watching me and knows what I like and did his gifts please me. He told me that he has been watching me go here and there. It started out like he was a romantic, but it turned creepy. I think it was creepy from the beginning, no. At night, I started locking my car door. He would leave notes under my wiper blades. His notes were becoming more and more crazy. He was leaving dead roses or trash on my car. One good thing is that he did not go up to my door, but at the time my brother was living there and my father was home a lot. This took place in 1982, so we didn't have cameras and the cops didn't take this seriously since he didn't cause any bodily harm. Isn't it still like that, though? The last thing he left in my car was a styrofoam head painted up with my hair and eye color with makeup on it and a knife in the head with fake blood running down it. The guy was a nut job.